Oh man, let's talk about the whole saga of cyber attacks and this whole hacking situation going on with MGM. And a question I'm getting from a lot of people about when is MGM Resorts going to be back to normal? When is everything going to be, behind us? This is going to be in the rearview mirror. We're going to move on with life as usual in Vegas. Well, I'll give you guys some updates here, and then we'll talk a little bit about that, and share with you guys some of my thoughts, things I've gotten, other people have shared with me, what I've seen with my own two eyes here on the Strip in Las Vegas. So, this has been going on for multiple weeks now. So, this is not something that was like just a few days and done. It's been going on for multiple weeks at this point, and it's probably going to continue for multiple weeks. But, as you guys remember, MGM recently, they did catch some heat for publishing that hotels and casinos were operating normally. That was almost a week ago, and they weren't operating normally at that time. Lots of you saw that just, from trying to use your app on your phone, and I saw that from being here on the ground level, and sharing what I saw with you guys. So, that was something they caught a lot of heat for. They haven't put an update on Twitter in the last few days. So, as I was putting together my notes, to go over for this with you guys, I was a little surprised they hadn't updated anything on Twitter in a few days. So, their last update does say you can book hotel reservations on the app or on the site, but then numerous people chimed in. I put that on my Twitter and on my social media. Numerous people chimed in saying, hey, this looks like a third-party site, saying they can't use their comps, can't see like the rewards rates and stuff like that. It just looks like an Expedia site. So MGM had said that, you can't use your comps unless you either call the international number they had or you call your host. And we're going to talk about something about a host here in a moment that you guys might find interesting. So some people are like, nah, I'm not going to call an international number. They're just waiting to see when the actual MGM's own website and app gets back to functioning like it normally would, where you can log into your account and see your rewards and see all that stuff that you normally would. So that part, as I film this, that part is not back yet. Now, the Frontline employees, they've been saying, for a while, like the update they did almost a week ago when they said everything was operating normally, and I talked, saw one employee goes, oh yeah, we're good. Saw another employee, chatted with her, and I said, yeah, so some of the machines still aren't accepting vouchers. She goes, oh yeah, we should be good in a few days. Well, the employees are saying that because that's what they're being told to say. That's what's coming down, right? That's what's coming, down for them to tell people is to say, oh yeah, everything's fine, everything's gonna be good in a few days. But like I said before, other than just like a handful of people like at the top of the organization, they're probably the only ones at the top there that actually know the extent of how serious this is, or the extent of the situation here. Like the Frontline employees, they're just they're gonna say what the people above them have told them, what they've been instructed to say. So, getting information like that about how long it's gonna go is gonna be tough, because that's not something that company's gonna just be putting out publicly, consistently like that. So, their approach has been to just do what they can to say everything's fine, or try to really, not grab more negative attention to the situation than it already has. Now, I think that's a little late for that, because some of the things they've done have, made some of their customers unhappy with some of the things they've put out and said that have not been the case. So like I mentioned before, over-promising. So, I did think that hurt when they made it a point to say everything's fine, and operating normally when it wasn't, having staff tell people that. So, they have been making progress. There's some good news, because they've been made more progress tonight since I've been here, and filmed this. So we'll get into the good news, and I'll finish these notes here. Was that, it got to the point actually where some people were distrustful of MGM. That one person actually reached out to me, sent me a message saying, hey, I talked to my casino host at the property they normally, a property that they have a host at, and they say, yeah, my host said everything's fine. Either everything's fine or it's going to be back to normal soon, but this guy didn't trust what his host told him. He said, hey, can you go over there and check for me? So it's gotten to the point where some people are like, okay, what they're hearing from the company and what they're seeing, through video and what they're seeing just on the app, on their phone, on the website, doesn't seem to add up. So there has been some damage there that they've done. I think MGM's ultimately going to be fine coming out of this, okay? A corporation as big as they are, yes, the hacking situation itself has been damaging. Yes, some of the things they've put out throughout this have been damaging, but they're not going to go out of business. Like someone said, oh, is this going to be the end of MGM? It's like, no, no, it's not. So, the mentality of the whole thing, this kind of reminded me of when I worked in hospitality in the club scene. and how you'd get like people would come to the club sometimes, and they would be, the club would have a set cover charge or bottle service prices or packages they would sell and things like that. And people would come to the club and they'd be like, oh, well, the promoter on this strip told us it was this much for cover, or our driver who brought us here said, no, it was this much for drinks, or bottle prices were this. All these things were like, people who do that, these drivers, promoters, all sorts of places here in Vegas give them a commission for bringing customers, right? They give them a kickback for it. So there were times that, sometimes it could be a genuine mistake because different places have different prices for things. But there were definitely times where they were just telling them whatever they needed to just to get people there to the building, because their whole hope is that once you get them there to the building, they're gonna be like, oh, well, we're here now, even if the price isn't what the guy told us, at least, we're here now, we might as well go in, right? Might as well pay and go in, which is exactly what the person wanted, because then they got their commission. So that seems to be the mentality that I've seen. That's what this made me think of the last week or so with how MGM handled this. Was like, no, just tell people it's fine, tell people it's normal, right? Just tell them everything's okay, just to get them here. So some people came, and especially if you're not a gambler, it has not been that big a deal for you, okay? If you're not gambling, it hasn't really, the impact, you're not gonna feel it as much. So I do know people who have, seen people comment on, they did play, and they're obviously annoyed with having to wait to get like paid out, right, for every single voucher and that sort of thing. So, that's kind of what the situation made me think of, was that sort of mentality. And I could see why some people would not be happy with that and not be thrilled about that. Now, some of the good news that I saw tonight here is, going through the properties here, New York, I walked through, I only saw like 6 slot machines that were off. They looked, they were completely down. So they look like, you go through there, you'd hardly even notice anything. I talked to one couple who told me that all the machines they played had no problem getting vouchers coming out. Other machines would accept the vouchers. They didn't win any money, but they said, hey, they're like, hey, it's coming back. They're like, machines, are operating. They are charging for parking. The gates, at least the arms of the gates were down at Park MGM and New York, so they got the parking gates operating again. So whether that takes, a little time to get anything sorted out, I'm not sure, but the arms are down on the parking gates. So, looks like, hey, charging for parking is back. But then over at Park MGM, they had more machines that were down. Not as many as up as New York. It was definitely more noticeable over there, the amount of slot machines that they had down and were just not able to play. So, progress has been made with that. I would not be surprised if the day I published this video, MGM puts out another update saying that they've made progress, which I think would be smart to do, to say, yes, we have more of our machines working. Now they got to figure out the back end side of things, of like the website, yes, any employee pay issues and things like that, but they had to do what they could to stop what was going on, like, to stop the bleeding here on the ground level first. So I think that was really part of the reason why they were saying we're operating normally, and employees were saying, oh, we'll be fine in a few days, was so that people who had plans to come, like, over the weekend or in a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month down the road, were hearing everything's fine, so they don't, hear that and like have a, quick response to like cancel their plans because they hear things are not going well, so they cancel their plans that's a week away, 3 weeks away, a month away. Because, they're losing millions a day. MGM is losing millions of dollars a day, hundreds of reservations getting canceled. So, they had to do what they could to try to stop the bleeding here on the financial bleeding here on the ground level, get things operating again. So I can see why they would tell people everything's operating normally, but I can also see why people would be like, hey, no, it's not, and I don't like the fact you said that. So they are making progress. That's the extent I have of this for you guys. When's this going to be over? It's anyone's best guess, okay? This will probably be weeks, potentially months, until it's completely gone, completely over. They've got to do a whole bunch of work, you and I are not going to see when it comes to their system and getting their whole system back online in numerous places. So on the ground level, it looks like things are mostly normal from what I can tell on the ground level. Now, as far as booking on the website, being able to see your rewards and get your rewards rates and stuff like that, all those sorts of things, that's probably going to take even more time. And understandably, they had to really put like a Band-Aid on that so that people could book online, just to get that, have something for people to use as an option instead of nothing while they fix what was going on here on this level. So, as far as should you cancel your trip or not, ultimately going to be up to you. But here's the info I got to share with you. So depending on your situation, what you're doing while you're here, whether you gamble a little or a lot, those things are all going to factor in. So, here's what I got for you. When's the situation going to be over? We don't know. We don't know, but I can see some visible progress here on the ground. I'm hoping this is over sooner than later. The employees have definitely been dealing with a lot in this whole thing, so they've been doing good throughout this. So, but it was nice to be here, be on the casino floor, and not see anybody going around with a clipboard having to write down every single hand pay and actually pay out someone for, like $13 or something like that. So it's good not to see that. That is progress, see that more of the machines are working. So that's what I got for you guys. Anything else to add, please do it down in the comments section. I appreciate you guys following along for this. Some of you said this information has been helpful. I'm happy it's been helpful. So, so you guys can make the best decision for your own vacation here in Las Vegas. So thanks for watching, guys. I am Jacob. This is My Life in Vegas.